Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel, and as you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be talking about how we got pregnant after IVF with our son and what we did differently to conceive with this pregnancy. So if you go back and look at my video list, you'll see that I did post a video and update on our infertility and what we were going to be doing to conceive for baby number 2. I posted that video and 2 or 3 months later I got pregnant. I think it was 2 months later. So that was quite interesting because we really, after that I filmed that video, we were we're not going to have any more kids because first of all, we didn't want to have to pay $3,000 to have a frozen embryo transfer. And I didn't want to stop breastfeeding my son at that time in order to start doing shots for the whole process of doing a frozen embryo transfer. And then because of that, I wanted the timing to be kind of controlled, but I wanted to have a spring baby. I know that timing cannot always be controlled, but because of my postpartum depression with my son, I really did not want to ever have another winter baby again. So anyways, let's get right into the video. And I did take notes here because I want to be thorough and give you guys the correct information and cover everything that I want to cover, and I don't want to miss anything. But first of all, I cannot believe that I am pregnant right now. I am 27 weeks pregnant, and I still cannot believe that I am pregnant naturally after going through IVF and a year's worth of doing IUIs that were unsuccessful. We were, like I said, gearing up to do a frozen embryo transfer. And before we could even contact our doctor or begin prepping, we became pregnant naturally. And we found out, I think it was September 28th, because we were at the Oregon coast for July. We came home August. I can't remember if it was August or September that I found out I was pregnant. So I'd have to look back, and right at the moment I can't really focus on counting how far back based on my pregnancy right now. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you, a huge thank you to everyone sending me private messages and commenting on my videos about me doing this type of video. I know that I have a lot of friends still on my Instagram that are still trying to have a baby from when we first started, which was 4 years ago now, or more, 4.5 years ago. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, and I read all the comments and I respond to every comment, and I love your guys' heartfelt comments and things that you're leaving me in my private messages about this pregnancy, and just praying for me because I have been a little worried just with not having as much monitoring as an IVF pregnancy. And that's one thing that's really different about having a IVF pregnancy versus a natural pregnancy. I think I want to do a video on that topic as well, because coming from an IVF pregnancy, it is so different. You feel like you're out of control, no one's controlling what's going on. You need more monitoring, you want more blood work, you want more testing, you want ultrasounds and all this stuff, and they just don't do that, especially if you're going with a midwife. So anyway, sorry, my pants are getting a little too tight for me these days. I really love reading all the heartfelt comments, like I said, that you guys leave, and I've had many requests to share what we did differently during our trying to conceive period. So I guess first of all, I want to start out with saying that my husband did have male factor infertility. We had 0% morphology, and they gave us a percentage for being able to conceive on our own naturally, and we did try 3 or 4 IUIs with letrozole and trigger shots, and none of those worked. And our doctor just said he didn't want to waste our insurance money that was covering our IVF cycle for the future and for our IUIs. He didn't want to waste any more money on doing that and getting our hopes up. And they had a cycle coming up where they usually, here in our town, they do like 20 women at once in these big groups. So, and I'm sorry if my camera's like moving. I'm going to try to be still and not move too much, but my tripod is actually on my bed, so when I move, it kind of moves. So, sorry about that. So I just wanted to say my husband did have open heart surgery in 2016 in December, and I don't know if that was a contributing factor to us getting pregnant naturally, if maybe somehow it helped with the fact that his blood was more oxygenated, which then maybe healed some of his, like helped get rid of the free radicals in his body, which free radicals damage your cells and take longer for your cells to regenerate and heal and stuff like that. So I don't know if that made a difference or not, but so what I am thinking, I don't know for sure if any of these things, you never know why you get pregnant naturally after you have IVF. It's baffling because you're like, I spent so much time and money trying to get pregnant through these infertility treatments that didn't happen, and then when I'm not trying, it happens. So I think what contributed to it was the fact that we had lifestyle changes because of my husband's surgery. I already am a very like health nut kind of person and love just organic whole food types of diets and juicing and things like that, and eat a lot of raw vegetables and fruits. So I started my husband on taking just supplements that were really good for his heart, his blood. So supplements like ubiquinol and alpha lipoic acid, vitamin E, CoQ10, which is sort of like the ubiquinol, but ubiquinol is like probably the king of like a supplement that helps repair cells and cellular growth, as in like if your cells have a lot of free radical damage. And that was one of the things that our fertility doctor asked when my husband had his analysis done, was what was he being exposed to at work, because they were baffled by his test results and they were like, what is going on, because this is just really bad. So that's why our chances of getting pregnant was really low. So a lot of the first things I think that helped, that we did differently, not trying to conceive, but just for like our health and keeping my husband healthy and not gaining a lot of water weight and eating salty foods, because one thing with his condition was that he was gaining a lot of water weight and they were really concerned about him keeping his salt down. Plus he has just high blood pressure, which is like hereditary in his family, like all of his siblings have it. So I was really stressing on just him not eating salty foods and using a lot of diuretic type of whole foods like lemons, and drinking a lot of water and having a lot of citrus fruit to help his body flush out water, because one of the worries is that like their heart and their lungs will be affected with trying to keep water off of their body. So that was a really big important thing for us to do. And so we had a lot of lifestyle changes when it came to that. And then obviously exercising and working out like at home and going for walks, which is the best thing for like heart issues, is walking. So we walked a lot, and we did like a lot of yoga and stuff like that at home with the DVDs that we use. I use the Shailene Johnson Payo videos. So that was like the first thing we did, just out of like health stuff. The other thing was like, I believe what helped. So it's hard to do this video because we were not trying to conceive. We were trying to focus on, and at this point when my husband had the surgery, we were not ready to have another baby, but we were trying to focus on just health and having less stress. So we were focusing more on relaxing and doing fun things together. And even though after his heart surgery, it was really tough he was off work for about 6 months, but the medication he was on was causing some side effects, like mentally, and just going through a big heart surgery like that is drastic. Okay, so I had to go deal with my son really quick, and I'm back. So where I left off, I believe I was talking about just our lifestyle changes, as in diet, exercise, and then like meditation and relaxation, and doing yoga and walking and getting a lot of fresh air. That was the main things that we were doing to try and get my husband to where he could get in a new habit of living more of a like healthy lifestyle and being more active, as an exercise. His job is very active. My husband is a lineman. So physically his job is very strenuous, or he's very active at his job. So the other thing that we were doing is we started receiving massage on a regular basis, and as you guys know, I am a massage therapist, and I do give my husband and my son massages. I massage my son at least 3 times a week after his baths, if he lets me. Usually we have to do it at bedtime when he's getting a little groggy and tired already. So, and then my husband, I try to give my husband a massage every weekend when he's here, and we schedule those around usually Sunday at my son's nap time. So we usually have about 2.5 hours to just spend time with each other. Sometimes my husband will massage me, but usually we end up having a little massage session. I light candles. I use a lot of essential oils, and that could have been one of the things that contributed to us to get pregnant naturally, because I use a lot of essential oils on my clients, so I also am ingesting them through my skin, absorbing them and inhaling them. So now that I'm pregnant, I have to kind of be careful of which ones I'm using. But that could be one of the things. I use a spray that I put all over my house. It's just a blend that I make myself, and I use coconut oil and water. Usually I only use water if it's one that I'm spraying around my house, because you obviously don't want to use spraying coconut oil like on your carpet. But I have one for my clients that I put on their feet to help kill any bacteria and stuff like that before I massage their feet. I also use hot towels on their feet, usually in the winter and the summertime, before I actually touch their feet to clean off any bacteria. So those are some of the things that we did differently than we were doing before. The other thing is, we were not trying to conceive. That was the thing we were doing differently. So we were, I would say, less tense. And obviously in the making love department, when you're trying to conceive, It's really just a strange thing when you are timing everything and you're like taking ovulation tests and you're like, we gotta, at this time, and it's not natural. You're going based off of this little stick that's telling you something, which you obviously, if you're trying, I guess you need to do that. But what I learned actually from this cycle is that I noticed more like my body wanting to become intimate with my husband instead of like something telling me to be intimate with my husband. So it was kind of just like my hormone fluctuations through the whole month. I would obviously, you have your sex drive that increases at certain times and then it decreases at certain times of the month. And for women, we're basically on a roller coaster ride every single month, and the roller coaster starts over every single month. So you're gonna go from like, not wanting because you're gonna start your period soon and you like crave chocolate and certain kinds of foods, you're kind of moody, grouchy, bossy, short kind of thing, and then you start your cycle and obviously you're on your cycle, and then at the end of your cycle you're like, okay, and you want to feel fresh and clean and all that stuff, and then about 5 days after your period you're starting to feel like, your body is obviously changing hormones, so you're starting to feel more like, okay, I'm feeling happy, and your mood's going up and things like that. So one of the things I did take was evening Primrose Oil, and I've taken those for probably a long time, 15 years or more, just because of some hormonal imbalances that I had with like mood problems. I have post-menstrual dysphoric disorder is what my fertility doctor diagnosed me with, and that is just a large dip in your hormones after you ovulate, which can cause severe depression, suicidal tendencies, which I had. For no reason, I would just feel like I don't even want to live. Like, why do people want to live? Like, who wants to live in this world when it's so evil and things like that? So I would just have these thoughts out of nowhere. Nothing would be wrong in my life. I would just have those feelings. So that's why I took evening Primrose Oil. I obviously was on a prenatal vitamin, and the weirdest thing is I nursed my son up until I was about 3 months or 4 months, 3 months pregnant. So I was nursing but had a cycle while I got pregnant. So I was not tracking ovulation. I didn't even know when I was supposed to start my period every month. And the month that I decided to say, hey, I need to keep track of my cycle because I don't want to get pregnant, so I was trying to avoid getting pregnant. The month that I wrote down my cycle was the month I missed my period, and I was pregnant. So by the time I figured out I was pregnant, I was already like 6 days past when I was supposed to start my cycle. And every day I kept having these weird cramps and these weird things happening, and I was like, oh, it's gonna start. Like, it feels, when you're pregnant in the early stages, it feels the same as if you're going to start your period, because there's implantation, the placenta is burrowing in, your uterus is like, whoa, what's going on? And, growing a little bit, and your hormones change. So I remember just a few weird, very strange cravings that I had. And if you watch back on some of my videos, I'll try to link my videos up here or somewhere in the this video, from how I found out and how I knew, like the earliest signs of when I thought I was pregnant. But the other thing that my husband and I did once a week, even if we were here at our house here or at our apartment, where my husband works, we had a second bedroom, and that second bedroom was like set up as our relaxation room. And when my son would go to bed at night, We would massage each other. We would get coconut oil and massage each other. This may be a little too much information for certain people that watch my videos, like family. So you can click out of the video right now if you want to, and this makes you feel weird. But I totally believe in following the cues of your body. And when you feel like you have this urge to be intimate with your spouse, do it. Like, don't hold back because you're not ovulating or because it's not the right timing or whatever. Just let go and just like let your biology tell you what to do, instead of just like having this calendar that's like, you need to do this and you shouldn't do this. And because women think of like and I know I did this too, but you think, okay, I don't want my husband to have sex because I want his sperm count to build up for so many days before we have it, because that gives you a higher chance. And I mean, that is so crazy, but we do that as women. We're like, when you're trying to conceive and you've been trying to conceive for a long time, you do the craziest things to get pregnant. I mean, I would do what people say, drink more beer, go have fun, go blah, blah. I mean, I did everything. I drank beer, I ate crazy things, took crazy vitamins, took seaweed, like all this stuff, and it never worked. The only time it worked was when I didn't even care. And that may not happen for everybody, but it happened for us. So like I was saying, just, I know this sucks to hear, because when I was trying to conceive, I was there and people would tell me I just needed to relax. And it pissed me off. So, okay, you want to get up here with Mama? Okay, come on. So, it's hard to hear when people are saying like, just relax, because if you're getting older, if your egg reserve is bad, if your egg quality is bad, if, you know, certain things in your life, you're like, I want to have a spring baby, I want to have a winter baby. All of these things contribute to the stress. Like if you count, starting all of these little things that you have that you're thinking about to try to control the situation, you're causing stress hormones to be released in your body. And even when I did my IVF, when we finally went to IVF, I had completely surrendered, because I was like, I'm going to go through this. None of the stuff worked already. I don't know if this is going to work. So I literally just let go. I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to do this, and I'm either going to have a baby or I'm not going to have a baby. Though it's 50-50, pretty much for me. And I just finally let go, and because you're out of control, you become out of control with all the details that you try to hold in your mind or write down or study or Google or research or all this stuff. And it's like, you really do have to give a lot of this stuff over to the doctors. Let them worry about the numbers and the tests and the results and all this stuff. And I just remember walking into one of my follicle scans and my blood work right before I was going to do IVF, and I had a big, huge Starbucks vanilla latte. I was staying in a hotel by myself. My husband was 7 hours, 8, 9, 10 hours away actually. He was in North Dakota. I was in Bozeman, Montana. I was by myself in a hotel, giving myself shots, eating out, you know, like fast food and stuff. I had to let go. It was so stressful, and I was like, none of it's in my control anyways. So that is one thing I can say that I did. If you look at my video where I talk about our infertility update, I literally that night, I remember praying and telling God, and even in the video I was like, I need to be pregnant for free because I don't want to spend $3,000 getting pregnant. I don't want to quit breastfeeding my son so that I can go through a frozen embryo transfer that may not even work out. So I lose $3,000, plus I stop breastfeeding my son and I don't want to. And I have to start taking shots. I did not want to do the progesterone shots again. the first part of doing a frozen embryo transfer or IVF, like the injections and stuff, is nothing compared to intramuscular shots in your hiney every single night for 90 days. 100 shots, over 100 shots that you have to, I gave all mine to myself, but I was like, I don't want to do all those things, and I just prayed and I said, God, and the other thing was, I want to have a spring baby, so I was like, God, if I don't get pregnant in the next 3 months, I'm not having any more children, because this year, I am 37, I just turned 37, so if I were to get pregnant this year to have a spring baby in 2019, I would be 38 years old. So I was just like, if I don't get pregnant, I'm not having any more children. Like, I'm not going to go through IVF. I'm not going to have a frozen embryo transfer. So we just relaxed. We weren't trying. I was not even trying. I didn't even want any more children because of my postpartum depression, like I said. I'm going to make a separate video on my postpartum depression and what was so drastic about that made me never want to have children again, because it is, to me, I feel like I'm afraid to talk about it because of the fact that I did have IVF and I don't ever want any more children. I feel like bad or guilty, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does to anyone, but it's almost like I feel like people would think I'm ungrateful that I have these frozen embryos to use when there's people that don't even have leftover embryos after their IVF. So it's kind of, I feel like, would be controversial to talk about, and I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want friends that I have that are trying to conceive misunderstand me, but what I went through was very serious. For this video, those were the things that we did differently, we weren't even trying to get pregnant, but we did a lot of, also, I don't want to leave this out if I didn't, is we juiced a lot and did a ton of smoothies for my husband's heart stuff. I don't know if that did it or what, but also I was breastfeeding my son and I was losing a lot of weight. I was 124 pounds and I'm 5'11". So if that gives you any indication of how underweight I was about 15 pounds or more underweight. I was very thin and didn't look well at all. My face was sunken in. My arms were like little twigs, and my son was not getting the nutrition that he needed. So I was trying to consume a lot of food so that I could produce more milk for him. But so I think that was one of the accidental things that I was doing that maybe helped with my fertility and my husband's, because he was eating the same foods and drinking the same juices as I was. So I hope that helps anybody who is trying to conceive after IVF, and I hope that I don't offend anybody by saying just relax and stop using a calendar and just go based off of biology and what you feel, and bring the romance back into your marriage, into your relationship. I really feel like that was an amazing part of how we conceived. My husband and I it really felt like this really natural, we would just have these extremely beautiful, romantic massages together with candles and essential oils, and just loving on each other and doing it because we love each other, not for this end result or we're gonna get something out of it besides what you're supposed to, and that's exchanging energy and love. So I hope this video leaves you with some hope and some faith that you are going to become a mommy after you have IVF and you won't have secondary infertility. So I'm just going to say a little prayer for anybody who leaves a comment that is trying to conceive. And if you want to look at my Instagram, I posted every single part of my IVF cycle and my IUIs on there for like 4 years. So if you want to go back and go all the way down through my Instagram, you can see everything on there about my journey to get pregnant with my son. And I lost his twin sister and all that. So I love you guys. Thanks for following me and subscribing to my channel. And if there's anyone new here, hi, I'm Jamie. Welcome to Double the Bumps, and I wish you guys a happy weekend. I'll talk to you later in my next video. Bye.